Since the pandemic, we've all had to adjust to a new way of life.
Working from home.
Trying to stay active.
Keeping entertained.
But we'll all get through this together. Welcome to cuEngage.
Hello everyone and welcome to cuEngage. My name's Emma Leahy and I'm the marketing manager here at Wellington IT. We are delighted to have you at what is our first ever virtual cuEngage event. On the webinar today is our CTO Ian Glenn, our PS manager Ying Tang, content marketing specialist Rebecca Reid, Rick Platt, our senior software developer, myself, our IT help desk analyst Paul McLaughlin, and last but not least John McCandless, our senior project implementation manager. So I trust by now that you've all had the opportunity to view our 6 Impossible Things workshop videos, and the team here are here to answer some of your burning questions, some of which you've already submitted, so thanks for those. Before we begin, can I just remind everyone to mute your mic unless you're asking a question during our Q&A sessions. You can use the chat in the window beside you to ask any questions, which Rebecca will be picking up during the Q&A sessions. And please do take notes as we're all here to learn. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our CTO, Ian Glenn, to answer your questions on the many automations in Scion.
Thanks, Emma. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ian Glenn. I'm the CTO for Wellington IT. Part of my responsibility is to set our product strategy, and an important part of that strategy is in relation to the automations that we build into our product platform. We do this in a number of different ways. Primarily, what we seek to do is use technology to eliminate manual activities and interventions by you and your teams. In the video for cuEngage 2020, I covered a range of automations that are available within our systems, ranging from member onboarding, including ID verification, online loan applications, reporting, and automated scheduling of reports, and automated service monitoring. I'll be happy now to take any questions that you guys have on any of these sections covered in my video.
Thanks, Ian. There is a question in relation to ID&V. How does the system handle a failure or a partial facial match?
ID&V process that performs a match of a supplied ID, which can be a passport or a driver's license, and it captures the imagery from that driver's license or passport and matches it to what's called a liveness test, which is a little video, effectively, and it carries out an analysis. And I'll just share my screen. I've got a little example of this I can probably show you. Hopefully you can see my screen okay. So basically what I've got here is 2 examples of ID matches that have been carried out. So what this is doing on this page is showing you all of the checks that have carried out. And if I scroll down, you'll see that there's a face match validation has passed. And if I use the second example, what you will see is that the face match has failed. Okay, so if I just flick down and show you what the 2 examples are in this scenario. Basically, so there's a pretty terrible picture of myself, and basically this selfie photo is a photo that's been captured from the video that I recorded during the liveness test, and has sort of correlated that with my driver's license and said this is passed. And in this example, you can see that one of our development team has used their own ID, but instead of doing the liveness test, they opted to upload a picture of someone else. Yeah, and you can see that effectively it's failed this part of the test and is set to refer. So to answer the question, the way we've designed the system is that we're not automatically joining members. What we're doing is we're automating the process of validating those members. And what that means is that from a member perspective, this scenario with a refer wouldn't have stopped the member completing their exercise. What it would have done is it would still have taken them through the process, but this report would then have been provided to your staff to review and determine whether the person, as in this example, had just effectively provided the wrong information, or if it was a next or subsequent set of activities that you needed to carry out. Yeah, and that, so in this is an extreme example to kind of prove a point, but obviously that could be down to blurred image, or they were maybe wearing glasses or sunglasses or something like that. So it just gives you an example, but the important bit is that it gives you as the credit union the ability to then pick up the output of that process and decide what you want to do next, basically.
Great, thanks for that, Ian. Another question around decision as a service. Can I modify the rules used by the decision engine should circumstances affecting lending decision change within my credit union?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. So the way the decision engine is configured is twofold. Effectively, it's pre-configured to produce recommended decisions based on historical evidence of credit union lending in Ireland. So that's level one. Level two is that each credit union then has the ability to make a number of modifications and tweaks to those rules that specifically comply with your policies. So how the system is being configured is that it will follows the standard set of rules, and then part of the implementation process is capturing your credit union rules and applying those. Those rules can be changed at any time, but as part of the process, there's at least an annual review of those rules in terms of the trending information, and that enables you and us and CRIF to then review whether the recommended decisions, how those then came through to fruition, and whether the rules could be tweaked, and whether the tweaking of those rules would then provide further advantage in terms of automating that process.
Great, thank you, Ian. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to unmute and ask, or pop it into the chat.
Brian Murphy
is now joining.
No, I think we're maybe good to go.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Emma, I think you're on mute.
It helps if I've unmuted.
We're all learning.
No, thanks, Rebecca. In our reporting workshop, Jeff McKay from Central Liverpool, who I believe is here, showed us how he is currently using CU Insight. You may also recognise my voice from the reporting workshop, where I walked you through 3 key areas of CU Insight. So firstly, we reviewed our standard reports, where we showed you how to slice and dice data for a better analysis. We then showed you how to build your own reports using the loans issued dataset. And then finally, we showed you how to save and schedule the reports so that they can run automatically. However, the real expert here is Paul McLaughlin, who is here to answer any questions you have from the reporting workshop or on CU Insight.
Paul, I have a couple of questions that were submitted prior. Is it possible to remove items around the CU Insight folders?
Yes, it is. It's probably better if I show my screen here, so give us a second.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
Share. Okay, so can you just confirm you can see my CU Insight screen?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, yeah. So moving the folders around in the current version, that wasn't possible. It had to be done on the server side. So thankfully now in the new version, which is what we're seeing here, we can do that through the user console. So I'm just going to go to an example report, and Emma, you're going to receive a brand new report from me today. So you'll have some work to do later on.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically in here you have your list of folders. Your username will pop up in here. So basically to move it, we can, for example, move this report here. So we highlight the report. We can cut or copy. So copy would be just to take a copy of it and paste it into Emma's folder, keeping the original version in your folder. Or we can cut, which gets rid of it altogether, and then simply paste it into the destination. So paste. And when that refreshes, you should see it in Emma's folder. So that was this one here. And it should be now gone from my admin. I'm logged in as admin. So thankfully that's an improvement now on the new version compared to the current version that we're on now.
Great, thanks, Paul. Another question, can a numeric filter be applied to a dimension field when building or editing new analysis reports?
Yes. Again, that was something that wasn't available in, isn't available on the current version. So again, probably best to show you an example. So we'll build a new report here just to show you. So if we build a new analysis report. Okay, so we'll choose our data source. So where this would come in handy is, for example, if you want to get a list of account balances where the account number is between a range. So say you have a range of accounts in the 10,000 numbers that belong to a certain branch, for example. That's where this would be useful. But you'd also use it on any numeric field like age, even just was technically phone number and things like that. So, but where it would be most useful probably would be account number. So in here we can apply this new filter method. So we right-click filter. And here now you've got a new, I suppose a new filter method now. So you can now do greater than, between, equals, less than, that sort of thing. So for example, all of our members in branch A were in this account range. We can simply apply that filter now, and it will only consider those accounts then in the report. So we can see the filter's applied, and if we pop the account number in, now it should only give us account numbers between 10,000 and 19,999, I think it was. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Paul. We have another question just in here. Does the new version include new data or new data sources?
It will do. It's still something we're sort of, I suppose, defining at the moment. So I don't have the full details, but it will have new data sources available.
Great, thank you, Paul. I think that's us then.
Okey-doke. So, thanks for that, Paul. We'll move on now to our next presenter, which is Ying Tang, who held a workshop on teach routines.
Hi guys. During my video, I covered the following topics: how you can teach reports and programs to run for end of day, week, or month; how you can set reports and programs to run at a fixed time every day or on selected days of the week; how you can create auto jobs such as batch change account status; and finally, how you can send letters for end of month, for example, active to dormant letters. Now I can take some questions, if any.
Yep, I have a couple here, and feel free everyone to go into the chat with some questions as well. Ying, can we send letters as text messages or emails?
The short answer is yes. So it depends on with the latest Scion release. There's an option to create kind of more professional looking HTML email templates. If you're not sure whether you're on the latest version, feel free to get in touch with myself or anybody in Wellington here. And so there's a bit of setup involved from us to do, but it's probably best if we take it on case-by-case basis. Yep.
Great, thank you. And another one, how do I manage reports already on teach routines? I think they have too many reports running every night and would like to remove a few that are not needed anymore.
Okay, that's a common question we always get. So I'm just going to quickly show my screen to show you how to do it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
For some reason, it doesn't allow me to get into it. Hold on. Let me try this again. There are two places to check. It depends if it's the end of day reports. They would be, if you go into this program RPTE main. Let's say if you put in date next run, see if I want to know how many reports I have run for end of May. That will give you a list of reports that are currently set. You see the update period MO, which means end of month. Let's say if I no longer need this insurance report, you can highlight it and then click on this little red dot to delete it and then confirm. So that's it's probably a good practice to go through the list. If you feel like your end of month is taking too long, this is how you can shorten the reports. If there's only things you don't need anymore. There's another place you can check, which is in store job maintenance, which is STJO main. That program shows you the reports or programs you have to set to run at a particular time of the day. Let's say if that report, you don't need it to run for Wednesday because you're closed, you can simply untick this box and then accept. If you don't need this report to run on any date, you can simply highlight this row and then delete it again. So that's kind of the two quick ways to manage the reports or programs you already set to run. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Ying. Thanks for showing that. We've got a question in about CU Insight, but I might leave all questions to the end if they don't relate to the current workshop, and we'll ask them all at the end if that's okay. Sorry, Ying, we do have a question here. Does the sequence have any impact on the routine? For example, if I use a sequence number already in use?
So the sequence number you see in the sequence number you see in RPTE main just tells you which one runs first and which one runs after it. If you happen to put in a sequence number that is already used, it won't cause any issue. So the report that already used the sequence, let's say 80, that one will still run first, followed by the new one you put in, even though the sequence is the same again. But it's probably best to use a different sequence number if it has been used.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Unknown participant is now joining.
All right, well, thanks for that, Ying. We'll move on to our next presenter, Rick Platt, who held a workshop on task automations, and Michael Byrne from Core, who I think is also on the call, participated in that as well.
Hi guys, Rick here. In my workshop, myself and Michael went through the power of tasks and the automation in Scion. Tasks are embedded throughout the architecture of the system, and they're linked to a whole load of processes that are available there to allow you to automate so many different tasks and features of the system, and monitor them and allow you to allocate them to your staff. I hope everybody found it useful, and if anybody's got any questions, I'll answer them now.
Thanks, Rick. There's a question in, when someone is out sick, how do we handle their tasks?
Right. Yes, we could change it. I'll share my screen maybe because I can show how we can do that. If everybody can see that screen now. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yep.
You can see the task allocated to a person here on the screen. If somebody's out sick, their tasks are obviously allocated to that operator. Whenever I'm looking at the available tasks on this main screen here, it shows me every task for me. But if I have a senior or administrative role, I can actually change who I'm looking at here. So I could look at my Wellington test user here, see any available tasks or tasks here. And I can then take or transfer, well, I'll show it actually on another screen. I can transfer the ownership of a task over. So if I just simply double click on it and transfer it, I then pick the operator I want to transfer it to, so I can transfer it to my test user. That transfers it over, records a record on the system that it's been transferred, and then that's available then on that operator's task queue. If I check in there, it should be available there. So here's my task there. So it's a manual process at the moment. It's not, but you just have to identify what tasks are outstanding. Remember, it's only ones that they've accepted to allow them to process in their actual queue. The ones that they've actually taken responsibility for need transferred.
All right, thank you, Rick. Another question we have, how do we know if someone has signed their agreement online?
Signed an agreement. Right, that revolves around our account accesses, as we talked about in the automations. So whenever anybody signs any document, we can customize what happens. So if I look here in our main screen of accesses, we can see there's an access type called web assigned credit agreement. So that means that the member has online signed the credit agreement. We'll record that activity back onto the member's account for that loan. And then it can trigger off a number of automations. It could be here it's set up to pop a message up, web document signed in the system, but it also could generate a letter through a communication or an alert, a text or an email, or a task as well. So it could generate a task that would feed into the workflow processing too. So it means that once it's signed, a task could be created that would then be allowed to be picked up by an operator to process it on to do the actual drawdown of the loan. So there's a number of ways we can trigger activities based on things happening. This one example, say, being a signed credit agreement.
Great, thanks, Rick.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone wants to pop in questions throughout this, we can go through them all at the end as well, so that's no problem. So we'll go back to Emma.
All right, thanks for that, Rick. Yeah, as Rebecca says, if you have any questions when we do the Q&A, feel free to unmute your mic or pop them into the chat. Rick, you're not off the hook yet. You had an alerts workshop that you held.
Was that next? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, in this alerts workshop, I took you through some of the features of the alerting system that's built into Scion. It's a comprehensive alerting system and it's built into many areas and allows you to keep the members informed of account activities by text, by email, by push message in the future, and keep credit union, and keep the credit union informed of the activities that have been happening on their accounts as well. So if anybody has any questions, we'll take them now.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. We actually had one pre-submitted and one similar has just come in. I'll start with it. Is it possible to create an alert to email or text a member if their funds transfer fails on CE Online Plus?
Right. Yeah, well, currently the member gets notified by a message internally on the secure messaging system in Scion on CE Online Plus. But yeah, we could do that. We could do it with the same thing. I'll share my screen again, actually. It's the same process again. It's triggered off an account activity that's happened. So if I look here, whenever a web right. So whenever a transaction is processed and it fails, the web transfer failure activity is recorded against an account. It's the same process again, and this can do multiple things. Here it's set up that a message is internally sent into the credit union of that type, so they're alerted that the failure has happened. But we can also link it to an alert code here. So that might be most straightforward to that we could generate an alert out to the member. You can define the content of that text. You can just through a standard message and define the alert code and then link it to that action. So as soon as that action happens, that alert is generated. You can say it can happen by text, by email. It could even use the communication codes, which means that a letter could generate an email or a text could generate too. But the alert's probably the simplest way of doing it. We can create an alert code, link it to that access type, and as simple as that.
Thanks, Rick. Another question, can I send a text message to someone if a direct debit is unpaid?
Right. That is a useful feature. I'm not sure how many credit unions actually use it, but there's a number who do. Just going to show you here. Yeah, so we can. This screen here lists all the different reasons why electronic payments would fail by the credits or debits. So for a debit, we can go down and find the reason here. The reason would be refer to payer. Slightly technical here, but you need to know that the refer to payer. So when a refer to payer event happens, you can customize which alert is generated. Here it's set up as an unpaid EFT item. So that means that whenever this happens, if the member is set up with the alert system, so if a text or email, it can generate this alert type. And in the alerts system, we can customize the message that they get. It says incoming and outgoing here because that's an alert for a third-party DD, which is received in the member's account, and then the other is one that you guys have called on a member's bank account. So you can have different messages and different alerts depending on what type of direct debit it is.
Thanks, Rick. Another one, how do I send out an SMS to all of my members?
Yes, a number of credit unions have used that one too. We have a special program for that, which is the SMS bulk. It's a very straightforward, simple program. All you simply do is enter the standard message, which you define in the standard message maintenance screen, and click accept. Now that would send it to every member that you have who has a mobile number, but you can then refine it with selections. So if you wanted to have it for a range of accounts or a branch, you can define it in here, or a pick file if you have a list of identified accounts you want to send. It's as simple as that. I would advise you not to generate one to all the membership because it will take a while to process them all, but yeah, it can be done. And we can do a similar bulk email message as well. In fact, that's been totally enhanced with the new email templates, so we can actually do a bulk email. All right, see if I can find it here. Yeah, bulk email, and in this way we could it's not as, you can't use conditions, but you can use a pick file or send it to everybody. We can define the template that comes out on the message, the subject, any attachments when you want to put in, and the text there. So with the new templates, you can really customize them and they can look very, very professional as well. So they're a good way of alerting the member.
Thanks, Rick. Another one, how can we print a signed credit agreement from an online loan for the auditor to take to court in a contested loan?
Well, you can print out obviously the printed document, but there's no signature on it. But internally, we do record in line with electronic signature rules and regulations. We record when it was signed, who signed it, what the status of the document is. We generate a unique number that identifies that document. So the one that they have viewed and signed, it can't be tampered with. And that is what you would bring to court to show that the document that they bring to court would be the version that they have seen online and signed. I actually don't know legally how that works, but we have the electronic background to show you that who signed it, when they signed it, and what image they signed. Actually, I'd be interested to know from the credit union guys, and what actually do they need to bring to court?
Great, thanks, Rick. There's a question, and apologies if this is about automations, it came in just in the sort of middle. Where is the mode list available?
The mode list?
Mode list, maybe I've... We'll leave that one and come back to it, sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'll get clarity on that one.
Okay.
And just what's the predicted timeline for push notifications to CU Online Plus?
That is a good question. Ian could maybe step in and answer that one, but yeah, it's definitely on our roadmap. We need it for a number of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, as hopefully you all know, we're in the process of rolling out our new mobile app, and what we've done within the mobile app is it's already pre-configured to accept push notifications. So what we're working on at the moment is the sign-on part of that. So our plan, as Rick has just been showing you in terms of how the alerts are raised, is basically just to have a new alert type that basically is a push notification. And the advantage of that will be that you can then do a number of different things. So you could do bulk push notifications. You could do a message. I know there was a query from Ted there in relation to important transfer messages or failures, and that going into the secure message portal, and perhaps a member not looking at that. So what we could do, Rick, is push that as a push notification to the mobile device, and therefore it would immediately pop up. Yeah. So basically, our plan is effectively just to extend the alerting process that Rick has just been talking through to include push notifications, effectively just as another option. As I say, in the mobile app, it's already designed and capable of receiving those push notifications. So we're just working on the piece of work now within Scion to extend that, and we'd anticipate that coming quite quickly after the release of the app, as in sort of late summer of this year.
Yeah, you can see the screen there. That's the alert. It would just appear as push.
Yeah. So exactly right. Yeah. So what I'm saying is it's basically just the same process. Yeah. But instead of raising a text message or an email, it would basically just do a push notification, and therefore that's how it would work. So from our perspective, the reason that's kind of trailing the app is deliberate, because one, we want to release the app and get people using and confident with that. Secondly, the body of work we have to work on is that not everyone will have the app, or if they have the app, it's about verifying that they've got biometrics and when a message needs to pop up, and whether they need to authenticate to see the message or not, and how do you handle it, and do you push it as a text message rather than a push notification if they don't, so those are the kind of mechanics that we're working through. But from a product perspective, we just see it, Rick, don't we, as just another alert type, basically.
It's going to open up a whole world of things, for us, for authentication, biometric authentication of, be it where at the counter, be it at an ATM. There's a whole area that it will open up.
Opens up absolutely, yeah. And there's two different types of notifications. Effectively, there's some that can pop up at any point, and some that require biometric login to pop up. So like say that capability is backed into the app, but the app is just surfacing it. Really, the logic and the workflow comes from Scion, but it uses the same engine that we've just been talking through. And I think it solves for some of the questions that are coming through in terms of the timeliness of providing those messages to people, and the fact that if it's a pop-up push notification, then they don't kind of have to go digging and looking for it, and we'll continue to record those in the secure messaging portal as well.
Great, thanks guys. Rick, just to clarify on that question, the mode question, the mode list is used in the program maintenance and the alert tab, for example, C or A.
Oh yes, I get you.
So the question was, where is the mode list available?
It's a fixed list, really. It's well, there are a number really of them, but hang on, we'll go into it here. They're basically create. If you think about, it's basically like the first letter of the mode of the program. So is it amending it? Is it creating, or is it deleting? So I think we use C, A, or D like that. So that means create, amend, delete. Slightly techy, but it's basically saying, are you creating something in it? Are you amending something? Or are you deleting something? And in the loan, actually, you can probably use R for refinancing something. So it's basically in that mode of the program, what do you want to do? You would probably see it if I look at one example here in in the program that we use to create debit cards. Applications, we've defined it so when that program is used and you're creating an application or amending an application, it'll prompt, that's why that checkbox is there, does the user want to set up debit card authorization and cancellation alert events? So it'll prompt them. You can uncheck that so it'll automatically create it. But this just allows you to say, like, if you only wanted to do it when you're creating the card, you would simply take the mode out and make that C. So it would be creating a card. So it's create, amend, and delete, C, A, and D, basically.
All right, thank you, Rick. We just have a couple in here. I'll just flip back to task automation. Someone's asked, how can we assign tasks to different operators?
Task types basically are the main controller of that. So every task type has a task type maintenance program, and then here's the task codes here, and under that we can then set the operators to get it if you want specific operators, and we can also define it, link it to a role, so a certain role would get it. So you can either there's a role, so you can customize it by the role or specific operators. That's how tasks are allocated.
Great, thanks. And just in relation to task automation, what are the group codes? Can we amend and update group codes, or can we assign users and operators to these group codes?
The group codes are really ways of grouping the task types. You could create a new one, and then you can then link task types to that group code. So if you can see it here, there's a group code there. I can just change that to new. Now currently that deleted. Oh, sorry. Oh, I know. So you can create your new. I'll just come out of that. I'll go back in again. Yeah, so you can create groups, but they don't really control anything other than allowing you to filter. Let's just see that again. So if I look at that card cancellation, I can go to more there, and I can pick it under new. So all the groups do is group the task types. Whenever I'm in the main sort of controlling screen, I can then look at the group, pick new, and it would then just filter for tasks of that type. So I'm filtering there for anybody who's got that new task. So there's no available task, and nobody's ever used that task as such. So it's just a way of grouping them. I don't know what else we wanted to do. Is maybe link roles to that. I don't know. That would be something that somebody could get back to us about if they would think that would be a useful addition.
Great, thank you. Just one last question. This may be more for Ian, I'm not sure. Within CE Online, will the generic messages for members be updated anytime soon?
I think there's a couple of things there, isn't there, Rick? I think there are some of the messages in CE Online are customizable and some are fixed, but we are actually reviewing that in line with the push notifications, because for a couple of different reasons. One, we need to shrink the message down a little bit, because what you don't want is a push notification with a huge amount of detail on there. But secondly, we are looking at making sure those generic messages are relevant and are surfaced at the right point in time. So basically the answer to that is that's in line with the push notification timeline.
Yeah, but most messages should be customizable too. Yeah, they should. The text definitely are.
Yeah,
it's stuff. Certainly within Scion or on the website.
Absolutely. So what I'd suggest, if someone's having a specific issue with a message that is very generic, then just raise it with us and we can check, because quite a lot of them are customizable. So it may be that that's something we could configure for you now.
Yeah, certainly if they originate from Scion, they should be customizable.
Yeah.
Great, thanks guys. That's all the questions so far. Thank you. Oh, we have one more. Sorry, let me just see. Is there any way messages on the Scion system can be removed once a member of staff deals with it? In many cases, one message can be dealt with by a multiple of people.
Yes, that is a very good request. Currently, yes, it needs to handle it in the same way the tasks are handled, where it's allocated to an operator. I think, yes, we need to do that, because the more communications you're getting online, it's very difficult to manage if everybody is seeing that message and everybody. But currently you can't do that, but we would hope to push it through to be handled in the same way a task is, so everybody sees it, but then one person reads it and replies to it. But that's still not currently available. but it would be a very useful feature.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, that's all our questions then. Thanks for that, Rick. We will move on then to John McCandless, who did a workshop on cash control with Michelle from Member First Credit Union. So if you have any questions, I'm sorry, John, you might want to tell them what you covered.
Okay. Hi, everyone. In my video, we looked at the Scion cash control module. So we covered the daily teller and cash room operations, and we looked at cash coming in and out of the credit unions via the counter program and how the teller manages their daily till. We also showed how easy it was for the teller to balance their till at the end of the day. We also looked at the cash room operations.
Is now exiting.
And how our cash officers can manage all cash in and out of the cash room. This also included bank deliveries and lodgements. We also showed some cash control reports showing how easy it is for a credit union to get a quick snapshot of how much cash they have in branch at any one time. And in the video, we also spoke to Michelle and Member First Credit Union about the improvements that the cash control system has made in their credit union. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thanks, John. We have a couple here. Can cash control work across multiple branches?
Yeah, so each for credit unions that have multiple branches, they will have their own cash room set up in each branch. So it allows for all the cash to be contained in the branch, and it allows for credit unions to report on individual branches, and then also to get a report on all branches as a whole. So yeah, it can be rolled out in all branches. So it can.
Great, thank you. And can you restrict transfers from till to safe to only allow the cash room officer to process these?
Yes, so in some credit unions that use our cash control module, they prefer for the cash room officers to manage all the transfers. So, for example, they mightn't allow for their tellers to transfer their floats out of the safe into their tills. So they would prefer that the cash room officer has control over this. So, with any transfers that can be done within the cash control module, those transfers types can all be restricted by role permissions.
That's great, thanks, John. If anyone has any questions, again, feel free to pop them in or unmute yourself and we can ask any more at the end.
Okay, well, I think that's up. I think there may have been, I think I've seen a question around CU Insight. If we want to just do a roundup of any questions that we might have missed for the presenters, and if there's any questions, keep them coming in. Any questions for the presenters or for Michael from Core, for Jeff from Central Liverpool, just you can unmute your mic or you can just type them in.
Yeah, one question we had, when is the new CU Insight available? So potentially, maybe that's for Paul or Ian.
Yeah, I'm happy to pick that one up, Paul. Yeah, so basically we're engaged with a number of credit unions on that at the moment. So basically there's some small amount of PS work involved in terms of installing and configuring the new CU Insight. And then secondly, if you have some standard reports that you've created, it's about migrating them to the new version of the CU Insight business intelligence tool. So we've been taking orders for that, and we're planning the rollout starting in June. Yeah, so effectively in the next couple of weeks.
And just to jump in there, you would have received email communication from your CXMs last week, and then a reminder this morning where we have the form where you can select whether you want standard or custom reports. So just keep a wee eye out for that, but we'll be reminding you anyway.
Thanks, guys. Another question, is there any plan to allow the credit union to upload PDF documents to CU Online Plus?
Well, they should be able to do that currently. Yeah, in line with member onboarding or loan application.
Yeah, sorry, do you want me to take that?
Yeah,
so it is possible. So the credit union, they can upload documents to the member. So when the member receives that, it displays in PDF and lets them download it. So the credit union, essentially in Scion, you don't trigger a PDF. We trigger a different document, but when the member gets that document, it is a PDF, and they can download it. You can also set documents on C Online in the downloadable documents section for the member to download.
Thanks, John. Another question. For documents uploaded by members to the secure portal as loan support or onboarding, what process is there to redact or amend excess information to comply with GDPR?
I think there's probably a couple of points to that, Rick. I think one is that in terms of those documents, they could be defined with a document type that then applies the standard GDPR retention rules. So that would be one thing. In terms of redaction, there's no real easy way to do that, because there's a couple of problems. One, you could be getting different documents of different types, and therefore applying any kind of redaction template is going to be a challenge. Secondly, is that certainly from an onboarding perspective, you need the detail in the ID to be able to do the verification up front. So there's no automated process in terms of doing that. So that maybe something we'd certainly be happy to pick up with you, Tom, and maybe have a think about what that could look like in terms of maybe a later stage. But in terms of applying post redaction rules, that's not something that's available today because of the complexity of the different types of documents and knowing which parts to redact. Very, very difficult to do in any kind of automated fashion.
Thanks, Ian. Another question, is there a limit to file size for uploading images and documents?
That's a good question.
I don't. Good question. Yes. There will be, and we can configure that. I think it might be set at 20 meg, but I will probably check that one offline, Michael, and we can come back and confirm that separately. But I believe there is a standard configuration, Rick, and I think it might be 20 meg.
Yeah.
Another one, can we rename an uploaded document on Scion?
Currently, no, you can't. That we were aware that sometimes it's quite difficult to identify the document, but no, currently no. But I could see where that would be useful.
Yeah.
Just to put a comment on it, even, or some way of amending the description, just not to be the default or whatever it is that comes in.
Yeah, just another question, which, can Wellington provide credit unions with guidance notes on how to upload PDF documents to members via CE Online? I think, John, you answered that question.
Yeah, so John, we could send something out on that, couldn't we?
Yeah, we could. Just to mention, there is a bit of work involved in that. It's just, we do need to be involved in it to kind of design the document before it's pushed up as a PDF.
I wonder, John, is it generic ones or is it just member customizable ones? Is it maybe whoever's asking that just wants standard documents up there, like EQ forms or or health tech forms, that it's not a customizable document?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
very straightforward. Yeah, we could do either. Either is just we need to know what type, I suppose.
Plus, Michelle, we can follow up with you after this and see exactly what you're looking to do and work with you on that. Just another, can we move uploaded documents from stored documents to scanned images, for example, ID?
No, not currently, because they're basically, there's an imaging system and a document system, and currently they're stored as documents when they're uploaded and not images. So currently, no. Maybe in the future, I know that's why you've got a combined view when you're looking at somebody's stuff. You'll see their stored documents and their images, but that's the reason, because they're different ways of storing data, images and documents. It's just the nature of them. So at some point, we could bring them all together, but it's not immediately available.
Okay, I know you touched upon the HTML emails and your alerts workshop, Rick. There's a question, how much work is involved in designing HTML emails? Does it require development time from Wellington? And are there limits to the number of templates?
John can probably help with this one too, but it depends. Like I think we give you a default basic one, and we just need to know your Facebook page, your link, LinkedIn, your Twitter feed, all that information, your email, your phone number, and then we'll give you a default template. But to customize it, yes, it does require some input from us on the PS side.
Yep.
But it's worth it to get that first corporate branded template so that you can use that on everything. It's like a one-off thing. It's only if you wanted to customize it and do a special marketing campaign and you wanted to add in certain graphics and things to that.
Yeah.
That would require extra PS.
There's kind of two sides to it, really. There's one where you could think of it like Rick has just described, almost like headed paper, where you have a kind of, a nicely branded header and footer, and we have standard versions of that we can provide, or you can customize it. And I think the customization is based on document types, Rick, isn't it? Or alert types.
That's standard, alerts. Yeah.
Alerts, yeah. So you can have a different template for each one. Yeah. So in terms of, yes, there is some work on our side, but there's also some work you guys can do to help minimize that, in terms of we can give you these standards, and you can then pick up the HTML templates and look at the the sizing and so on. Because effectively what we're doing is we're putting the text in the middle, the standard text that we currently do, and then wrapping it with this formatted HTML template. And there's not a limit, to answer the second part of that question, in terms of the number of these that you can have. As Rick said, you can start with one, which you could then use for certain types of documents, or use for everything, or you can have different templates for different alert types.
Great, thanks guys. I think that's all the questions through the chat at the minute. Yep.
All right, well, thank you everyone then for joining us today on our cuEngage webinar. I hope you find it useful. If you do have any follow-up questions, please get in touch with any one of us. We will send a follow-up with a recording of today's webinar, and we're also going to send you a survey to get some feedback on how this format works for you. This is obviously the first time that we've done this format, where we've had the workshop pre-recorded and then we've done this Q&A session. And I suppose in the current situation, we just want to make sure that that we're getting it right, and that we're creating a format that works for you and works for us as well. So it might take a few goes, but we'll get there. We're actually going to be running all of our events in 2020 online, so we thought we would give you a sneak peek at what's coming up. Okay, so the next cuEngage workshop is planned for June, and we're going to focus on digital transformation, launching our brand new mobile app, CU Mobile, which Ian mentioned. We're going to be looking also at ID verification, and then also looking at how automated decision making could transform your loans process. We'll send you all the information and all the invites on that in due course, but should be a good one. And as you can see, we're sticking with our Alice in Wonderland theme, because Rebecca and I like Alice in Wonderland, quite frankly. And once again, just on behalf of the whole team here, thank you for being part of the first cuEngage 2020 and for being so involved and asking all those great questions. And that's us.
That's great.
Ted
Is now exiting.